can you see my screen? So let's start then.
Yes, Shubham, we can continue.
Yeah, so hello all. So welcome to the orientation session for the blockchain security hackathon. And let's go through the content of the hackathon. So first we'll go through the basic blockchain concepts about Ethereum, smart contract, Ganache, and then MetaMask. And then we'll go through Solidity, a few of the concepts of Solidity. Then we'll walk through IPFS, Web3.js, and then how to, what are the test networks available for the smart contract deployment. And finally, some hackathon information. So what is blockchain? So we all know that it's a decentralized way of storing information. So according to Wiki, it's a public database ledger, which is decentralized and that can record transactions in a verifiable and permanent way. So it is basically originally a block of chain of blocks which are linked together using cryptography, and each block has a cryptography hash of its parent, previous block, a timestamp, and some transaction data with it. So in that way, it gets linked with each other, and so it's very difficult to make any changes or immutate the data within the blockchain, because the attacker would have to modify the entire blocks in the chain, because if content of the one block changes, its hash would change and it would not match with its next block in the chain. So that makes it very difficult to change the content of the blockchain, and hence it is very secure and robust. So it's a peer-to-peer network of nodes without any central authority. So as there is no central node in the network which is having all the decision-making power and all the computation power, so it is resilient to it, and there's no single point of failure. Every participant node in the network, once it joins, it can obtain a copy of the ledger from the blockchain. So now next move to the blockchain. How does the blockchain work? So it's a pretty simple diagram which depicts the whole process. So once the user requests for a transaction, block representing that transaction is created in the chain, in the system, and then that block is broadcasted to all the minor nodes in the network, which then start working and validating and verifying it, the contents of the transaction. And after doing all the heavy computation and arriving at a consensus, that block is added to the chain and the transaction gets verified. So once the block is added to the chain, it is then all the nodes in the network then download that block and add that to their own ledger, so that every node's ledger is in sync with every other nodes in the network. Now let's look to the miners part. So miners are the important, one of the most important nodes in the network, which has the responsibility of validating and verifying the transaction. And so they use a couple of different protocols for arriving at a consensus. It can be proof of work, proof of authority, and more recently in Ethereum 2.0, it is moving towards a more eco-friendly way of arriving at a consensus, that is proof of stake. So miners usually get paid for a small part from the transaction as a fee for doing their work. They once they verify a transaction, they broadcast the completed block to other nodes in the network, and then blockchain uses various schemes such as we all know that proof of work or proof of stake to arrive at a consensus. And it is very important for the network to use mining. The mining part is very important to the network. It basically makes it secure, and it validates and verifies that all the transactions going through the network. So let's look at the Ethereum. So it's a very popular platform, a decentralized open source platform, which along with the functionality of transferring cryptocurrency to other accounts. It also supports blockchain smart contract. So that makes it very acceptable to the developer community around the world, where it is being used for developing various kinds of decentralized apps in various domains. Ethereum uses ETH, that Ether, as its cryptocurrency we all know, and it's by far the second largest cryptocurrency by market capitalization after Bitcoin. And Ether is a fundamental token which is used for every operation inside the blockchain, and it provides a distributed ledger again, as it's based on blockchain, which that ledger is maintained by every node in the network. Ether is used for paying for the gas, which is a unit of network resource which are used in the transaction and other state transitions in the network. And gas is used within the Ethereum virtual machine, which is used as part of the calculation for the transaction fee, which the transaction sender must pay in order to, to get the transaction accepted by the miners. So if the gas specified for the transaction is too low, there may be chances that that transaction would not be picked up by the miner nodes, and that would delay the transaction processing. So so the developers usually have something to optimally specify the gas for a transaction, so that the transaction processing speed is optimum, and there is no delay in the completion of a transaction. Ethereum virtual machine provides a runtime environment for the smart contracts to run on it, and smart contracts are basically some high-level programming abstractions that are basically compiled to the bytecode which runs on Ethereum virtual machine. And smart contracts are basically a set of rules and guidelines that are agreed by the two businesses before doing any transaction, and that is then stored and replicated on the blockchain. It's kind of pre-written logic in the form of various loops and various conditions specified according to business needs, and it is stored in the computer code, and then it is executed and run by a large network of computers which are running the Ethereum blockchain. So smart contract can be of various types, like exchange of money, property, creation of any certificate, crowdsourcing, electoral voter application or auction website, and any operation that performs some update on the smart contract. That update is again synced up with the ledger of each of the nodes, so that every node has the same copy of the data, and there is no conflict among the nodes for the data. So it's a basic diagram, so which shows how the smart contracts work. If I want to send some Ether or some data to another person, if I want to invoke a particular function in the smart contract, once the conditions are met in the smart contract, which has a set of rules based on if, else, and other conditions, and once those conditions are met, the transaction is passed. So in this case, once the mutually agreed conditions are met on the smart contract, the Ethereum is transferred from the sender account to the receiver account. So similar to this concept, there are multiple crowdsourcing websites that are coming up, which are based on the decentralized platform of Ethereum. So if a person or entity or organization wants to raise some funds for their startup or some business idea, they would specify their business plan, and people would then start contributing and to that project. So earlier, the centralized platforms which were there for crowdsourcing used to take some cut from all the money that was accumulated for the project. So it usually varied from the range of 10 to 15%. So now now many decentralized platforms have come up which are based on Ethereum blockchain network, which completely eliminates this type of middleman entity in any businesses, and once the specific target is met for any crowdsourcing for a particular project, all the money is released to the beneficiary account. So there is again set of rules and guidelines, set of rules which are agreed by the businesses and all the general public, and then it is compiled and then stored on the smart contract. And as it is immutable, as it is very close to immutable, there is no chances of hacking or manipulating the code to do any kind of corruption in any of the processing of the transaction. So now let's look at some of the tools that are used for decentralized application development. One of them is Ganache. So Ganache basically are used by the developers to set up their personal Ethereum blockchain network quickly for testing their Solidity smart contracts. And what it does, it comes up with 10 fake accounts with 100 ethers each, and this is only specific to the local host on which the Ganache is running, and it generally runs on port 8545 on the local host. So once as part of the development process of any decentralized app is concerned, so we basically test out our smart contract on Ganache, and after the development is completed, we then move it to the test networks like Ringp or Opston, and after a thorough testing on those networks, we then deploy it to the main network of Ethereum. So Ganache is a very handy tool for quickly setting up any blockchain network and then testing out of the smart contract functionality and the functionality of decentralized application. So it also gives a very nice GUI for verifying, for going through the transaction block and transactions, and also the blocks for those transactions. So we can go through, we can also see what was the gas usage for any block creation, and for any contract function invocation, and for any and also what was the usage for any contract call or any contract write operation. So it generally runs on port number 8545, and we don't need to be concerned about the miners, as all this process is automatically taken care by Ganache. So in case of setting up of private blockchain network using Go Ethereum client, there is a lot of there are a lot of steps that needs to be done, like setting up of starting the miner process, then creating Ethereum accounts, add two virtual machines as peers to each other to form a network. So Ganache relieves developers from all those hazards, and it takes care of all those operations, and we just have to start the Ganache program, and then it automatically handles all those cases, and we just have to point our decentralized application to this server, which is running on the port 8545. And so all these configuration we specify in the truffle config file, and our then decentralized application gets connected with the local Ganache server. So another important tool that is used extensively with the decentralized application is the MetaMask plugin. So it's a browser plugin that also is that is basically an Ethereum wallet, and we can also store some other ERC20 token based currencies in this wallet. And so this wallet is used for interaction with decentralized application, and using if I'm having account on main network, I can use it to go through decentralized exchanges for cryptocurrency and trade in my coins, and also I can use it to interact with other applications or other web apps which are based on blockchain. So if I am having some currency, I can store it on in this wallet, and I can use it across any platform where I want. So similarly, in terms of development of the decentralized application, as we need some fake Ethereum to test our smart contract and to test our decentralized application. MetaMask comes very handy in this case, and in this MetaMask plugin we can import the 10 Ethereum accounts that Ganache provides us with 100 fake ethers, and after importing those accounts in the MetaMask, we can then connect it with any decentralized test application that we are developing, and we can then start interacting with it. So it is it is a Chromium based. It is usually available for Chrome and Chromium based browser like Firefox or Brave. So it is these are the snapshot of the MetaMask plugin. So here we can switch to different network like main Ethereum network or Ringp or Ropsten test network. And and after switching to a particular network, it would verify if the account is present on that network or not. If it is present, what is the ethers that this account is having on that particular network. Now, this screenshot is about how to add the network. So in my case, if I'm developing any decentralized application, I will switch over to this drop down and add my custom network, specify the custom RPC port 8545 for Ganache, and then add it to the MetaMask so that it gets connected with the local blockchain that is running on Ganache on port 8545. So once I get connected with the local Ganache server on port 8545, I can go through the import account option and add my private key, which I get for every account on Ganache. So here is like the icon for retrieving the private key for a particular account. And after I retrieve the account, I can, after I get the private key, I can copy it down and import the account on the MetaMask. So I can import all the 10 accounts here, or I can choose to import only one particular account here. So if any app is running which is based on blockchain, the MetaMask would give an option to connect the wallet with that account. So in this case, it is a simple app running on localhost, and MetaMask detects it, and it gets connected to this application. So now let's move to the Solidity part, which is a high-level programming language, which is highly influenced by Python, JavaScript, and other object-oriented languages too, and it runs on Ethereum virtual machine. So this is used extensively for designing smart contract, and the smart contract can be of any type like voting, crowdfunding, and many of the concepts in Solidity is almost similar to the concepts in other languages like Python and Java and JavaScript. So in Solidity, it supports a different type of different elementary types like Boolean, integer, or string, and it also has support for comparison operator and control structure like if, else, and do while loops. We can also internally invoke any other function through any. We can also internally invoke any other function through calls and declare storage data structure like array and mapping and structs. So as we can see on the left side, there are particular conditions. So like this is a type of comparison operator where we are just checking if the account that invoked the mint function, that account address is same as the account address specified during the contract function invocation. And after verifying it, I can choose to do my operation if I want to add amount to the account, or if I want to deduct the amount from the account. So let's move to the next slide. So here it talks about different type of variables that are present in the smart contract, and so there are three main types: state variable, local variable, and also the global variable. So state variables are basically the variables which are which are having access scope to all the function, and local variables are the function the variables which are only accepted inside a particular function, so they live only till the function is invoked. Global variables are special types, so which gives information about particular. So like in the case of message.sender, it gives us information about which account invoked a particular function, and they exist in the global namespace of the blockchain. Solidity also provides support for different loops like while, do while, for loop, and also gives support for just a second. Yeah, so Solidity also provides support for different loops like while loop, do while loop, just like other programming languages, and we can also have the support for decision making through if-else statement. Solidity also gives support for arrays and for arrays data structure, which can be both static type and dynamic type. And now let's move to the struct type, which so in the struct type we can have different properties for a particular record. So if I am having a book struct, if it is having 3 different properties, we can access that property using dot operator, and we can initialize a struct using the struct name and passing it on those parameters of that are corresponding to the properties defined in the struct. So it can become it is very useful in case we want to add record which has having multiple properties. The mappings in Solidity are similar to the hash map and hash table data structure, which are present in other programming languages, where we have a key and also we have a value. So in this case, there is a balances mapping, which has address as the key, and value is the corresponding unsigned integer account balance for that address. So let's move to the events. So events become very useful in case we want to show notification to the user after once any smart contract function execution call is completed. So the way we specify event is through event name and then the parameters that we want to emit through that event. And on the client side, we handle it through the function, the smart contract function, smart contract name, and then those and that particular event, and what operation that we want to achieve once that event is received on the client side. So here I can have any logic to show notification to the user in case the processing on the blockchain is successful, or I can show some error message in case the processing there is some error while processing the transaction. So let's look at the IPFS part. So IPFS is a decentralized distributed peer-to-peer storage for storing different kind of files and application data across the network. And it is as there is no central authority which controls the storage infrastructure, it is very difficult to censor the content here. So as there's no central authority, no one can bring down the content from the IPFS. And again, it's fault tolerant as there's no single point of failure, and it is a protocol which is designed to create a decentralized and permanent method of sharing and storing files. Now, once I upload any file to the IPFS, I get a cryptographic fingerprint hash, which I need to store in some storage data structure. And if I want to retrieve that file, I need to pass in that fingerprint through the link address of the IPFS. So generally, it is used with blockchain extensively. In the case of blockchain, the large files are stored on the IPFS, and the cryptographic hash is stored on the blockchain side, as the storage is very costly on the blockchain side. Web3.js is a client-side library that allows us to perform actions from the client side to invoke any smart contract function to send data or to write data to the smart contract, and it communicates to the smart contract through the remote procedure calls, and it is available as a package in the Node module. And once I integrate it with my client-side application, I can pass it my smart contract ABI address and my smart contract address. And then I can construct a contract object using which I can call any smart contract function, read any data from the smart contract function, and also add event listeners for events emitted from the smart contract. So there are multiple test networks where we deploy our smart contract to extensively test it before deploying it on the main network. So RingP and Ropsten are two of those networks. So here we get Ethereum again for testing on the network, just like we get fake ethers in the Ganache. So the way we get the ethers for this RingP and Ropsten is by requesting it through the faucet corresponding to that particular test network. For RingP, there is a RingP faucet where we need to do some kind of a social media post, and after that, some amount of ethers get credited into my account for a specific time period. Ropsten is again one of those test network where we can request, we can deploy our smart contract. And again, if I want to deploy anything on the Ropsten, I need to request some ethers from the Ropsten faucet. The ethers are pretty valueless, and there are no, they can only be used in that particular test network. Now let's come to the blockchain hackathon flag and the blockchain submission flag. So the blockchain hackathon is mainly designed for the participants to create decentralized application using blockchain and IPFS. So we'll definitely like to see if you can use smart contract Ethereum with IPFS to come up with some decentralized application. So there are 6 flags mainly. So first flag is about using MetaMask integration with your app and performing a transaction on blockchain. So for first 4 flags, as for each of the flag, there is one corresponding Google form link where you need to do the submission. So these are the flags that you will be completing as you are developing your application. So second flag is about uploading files to IPFS, and third flag is about retrieving file from the IPFS and rendering it in a web app, and fourth flag is about emitting event. Fifth flag is about deploying the smart contract on test network or hosting your web app on EC2 or GCP or any other cloud platform. And finally, the last one is the final submission flag, where you will need to submit your whole code, demo video, presentation about your application, and also your code link where we can go through and just verify your code. So we would definitely love to see if you can integrate ERC20 token standard or ERC721 token standard with your decentralized application to build or something cool on the top of a decentralized network. So let's go through each of the flag. So for each of the flag, there's for the first 4 flags, the thing is that you need to the things that you need to submit are basically a small. First, you need to enter your group ID and group name _ group name, and then you need to upload a 5 to 10 second, 10 to 15 second screen recording of your app doing performing that flag or achieving that flag. And after that, you need to add one paragraph about what is the use case that you achieved while working on that flag. So if I go through the example application, so this is basically a simple decentralized application of photo sharing, where the images are uploaded to the blockchain, and we can also add description to the image. So if I want to complete flag number 1, what I will do is if my application is only first part is ready, only where I'm able to store some data onto the IPFS or some any network. What I would do is I will capture the screen recording of my app performing the task. So in this case, if I'm developing decentralized application, I would capture this part where the MetaMask notification comes up, and once I confirm the transaction is successful. So this would be so it would be hardly 5 to 10 or 15-second video based on your implementation. And what I would write here into the flag is that I would upload the video of my app doing the achieving that flag, and I would write description about that. While achieving this flag, the use case for my application was to upload or to write IPFS cryptographic hash that I received from the IPFS. Once I uploaded my images to the IPFS, I wrote those cryptographic hash function onto the smart contract. So this MetaMask interaction was for writing that data, for writing that cryptographic hash value to the smart contract. So basically one paragraph about what use case or function specific to your application that you completed while achieving that flag, and a 5 to 10 to 15 second small video of your app performing the same task. And please make sure that your app, while recording the video, it is the date and times is also visible so that we can verify that you recorded it recently. So again, for second flag, it is about uploading files to IPFS. So in this, again, walking through a simple example of this application. So you can record a screen capture where you are uploading an image or any data or any process where the file is uploaded to the IPFS, and you can record a screen capture and then add a description about what data you were writing to the IPFS and what was the use case for you while achieving this flag. Third one is about retrieving files from the IPFS and rendering its view on the web app. So it would be about reading the cryptographic hash from the smart contract and then giving a call to IPFS to render the image. So in this case, this decentralized photo sharing application, once this homepage is loaded, all the images are being fetched from the IPFS. So for achieving that particular flag, I can record a screen. I can screen capture it. I can basically record my app doing this functionality, and I can write a description that in the homepage of my application, my app is loading the data from the IPFS, and in this way I'm rendering its view on the web app. For the fourth flag, that is handling event from the blockchain. So what you can do is after you write anything to the blockchain, you can emit an event from the blockchain that the write function is successful, or in this case, image upload is successful. And once I receive it on the client side, I would have listener which is present on the client side, which would be always watching for any events from the blockchain. And once I receive it, I can show a notification or some kind of error notification in case any error happens, in case there is some error on the blockchain side while uploading the data. So what you need to do is, in this flag, you need to just capture a screen recording of the app showing notification to the user once the blockchain smart contract function execution call is completed, or showing any error message if there is some error. So again, in the description part, I would write that once my image is uploaded to the blockchain, I get a notification event from the blockchain, and this is my event. And once I get an event, I show the alert or any notification on the web app side. For the fourth flag, so fourth flag is completed. Now for the deployment flag, what you need to do is you need to give the so once you deploy a smart contract on Rockstone or Ringpin network, you'll get a contract address from there, and you need to just specify the contract address in this field, and yes, in this field, share the contract address. Here you will specify the test network name where you deployed your smart contract, and here you will share the contract address that you got from the test network. So we can verify by going through those network website that you when was your contract created and what was your contract address. So this is, and again, if you are able to deploy your application onto the EC2 or web app instance, you can share that link in the final submission flag. So again, let me in the final submission flag, what you need to do is that you need to submit your final code, demo video about your application, presentation, share the application link if you have hosted it somewhere, GitHub URL, and your motivation about while you are building in this application. So again, in every flag, you need to just specify your group ID or group name, underscore group name, so that it will uniquely identify each team in the hackathon. So I think, so for the first 4 flags, again, I would repeat, you just need to like record a simple video about like 10 to 15 seconds of your app performing or achieving that flag, and just write up one paragraph about what particular use case of that you achieved while completing that flag in your application. And for the deployment flag, you just need to do the final submission, and for the final submission flag, you just need to do the final submission, and deployment flag, you just need to share the contract address if you are able to deploy your contract on any of the test network. So the deadline for the final submission is 12 p.m. on 19th of December. And if there is any doubt regarding any of the flags or any of the tasks, you can definitely ping me on Slack, or you can just share your doubt after this presentation. I think this is it.